Welcome back to Vikings Game Plan from the TCO studios. Paul Allen, Ron Johnson, Fox 9, Pete Bercich, analyst, Vikings Radio Network. Vikings in Seattle. Now, Vikings are underdogs. Pete and I have been to the Cappuccino Capital many times and seen many quirky games. Anything can happen when these two teams meet. Let's begin here. Justin Jefferson, big story in the NFL. Ron, do you think the Vikings are required to win a bunch of games for Justin to be legitimately considered Rookie of the Year?
My initial was yes, but the thing about the Chiefs, and if we're talking about Hilaire, because he's probably the other guy up there with him, Pat Mahomes overshadows him so much. I think Justin Jefferson is going to kind of be a diamond in the rough when you look at this Vikings offense, where all of a sudden guys like Adam Thielen are praising him and Kirk Cousins trusts him right out the gate. I mean, a rookie hasn't seen this production in Minnesota since Randy Moss, when guys are like, wow, this kid's really good. Justin Jefferson's a breath of fresh air. So yeah, I think he does have a chance. And the other thing too, I don't know if they still do this, but it used to be NFC, AFC had offensive rookies of the year. And so he definitely is the NFC Rookie of the Year, in my opinion.
And with the name Randy Moss, interestingly, Pete played with Randy Moss when he came into the NFL in '98 and also coached the Vikings when Moss was on the team. So I'm not going to go down the road of do you see Moss and Jefferson, but you know what a quality rookie wide receiver looks like, man.
Absolutely, and I love the way his catch radius. You put the ball in his zone, in his zip code, he's pulling that thing down, and I've seen that the last couple weeks, and I love that. I do think the Vikings need to have offensive success in order for him to be considered part of the Rookie of the Year conversation. Obviously, he has a lot more work to do, but if his numbers are requisite of that, the Vikings, again, I think they need to be above a 500 type team. They want to give these awards to the winning programs and the winning teams. We've seen it in the past, but I think Jefferson has enough talent to really run away with this whole thing.
Now, other than Russell Wilson, Ron, why is Seattle so good?
Well, one, a guy by the name of DK Metcalf is averaging 25 yards a catch right now. So that's one. He has a deep threat guy that he hasn't had that's big. He can just throw it up when he's in trouble. DK, for the most part, makes all the catches and always gets in the end zone, except for when he celebrates too soon. Other than that, the scheme. I mean, they are putting him in a position to run when he has to. He's the second leading rusher on the team right now with 95 yards. He's averaging 5.3 yards per carry, and he's sneaky dangerous and he calls himself dangerous, but he's sneaky dangerous whenever he's outside of the pocket because of his offense. Now, the receivers, you look at the group, Lockett and the other guys, they're not going to scare you when you see them, but what they do is they all work together, and they have one of the best scramble drills I've seen, that they just trust Russ to say, let's just keep moving because he's eventually going to throw it to one of us. And he doesn't throw the ball away. 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's not a guy that's just going to throw an errant pass and get it picked off.
Russell Wilson is this team. He is this offense right now. I think what's helping him out a ton is that offensive line of his and the protection that he gets. He's got the quickest release, a 136.7 rating. I mean, the guy's on fire. Defensively, they're really just keeping the ball in front of them, and they have some pretty good defensive ends that like to put pressure. And when they can pressure the quarterback and play that zone behind where they can steal the look from the quarterback, they've had a lot of turnovers. They did a very good job against Miami doing that.
Now, hitting, sacking, and confusing Russell Wilson, those are the obvious ways to slow a guy who might be the MVP in 2020. The non-obvious is what's known as keeping contain, whether it's defensive ends, outside linebackers, whomever. Ron talked about it earlier in terms of a scarlet for Houston. But Ron, we begin with you. With this guy, Russell Wilson, the importance of keeping that contain and not letting him run willy-nilly.
You can set the edge with different guys. It doesn't always have to be the DNs. And so if Russell Wilson feels the DN kind of run a loop and try to go underneath, you have to have that second guy loop around and set the edge if it's the 3 technique or if it's even the inside linebacker, outside linebacker that's twisting with the end. He has to now become the new edge guy, because what Russ, if he feels inside pressure, he does that little reverse flip out and then just takes off. But if there's a guy there, then you see him double back, and that's when you have him, when he's making too many moves back there. But when he's smooth and you make a mistake and he can get out of there, it's over. And so that's what the Vikings are going to have to do. You're going to want to get aggressive. You're going to want to go after them, but you have to listen to your defensive coordinator. Andre Patterson is going to get these guys lined up and tell them exactly when and where and how they're going to go after them. But if one guy makes a mistake, that's when you see him slip out of there, and then all hell breaks loose.
And speaking of Andre Patterson, co-defensive coordinator, also super well-respected defensive line coach, Pete, we just with Danielle Hunter and Everson Griffin, we are so used to for so many years seeing the contain and the run defense and it done just precisely. And, you know, I don't know whether that's completely the case now, but a lot of new players, Russell doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. And you know, the thing too is when you have these 6'5" and 6'6" defensive linemen, Russell Wilson is not that tall. He needs lanes to be able to see. If you were going to keep him and find a way to keep him in the pocket, you sometimes have to think that might be better than getting to the edge, trying to sack him and letting him get out and roll. I mean, there was a play against Miami. He's rolling out to his left and throws the ball 50 yards on a dime just with the flip of the wrist. It's unbelievable how good he is once he gets out of the pocket and how quick his release is. The only time there's an accuracy, and the Dolphins did get an interception, was actually a play or two after they hit him and got him on the ground. So if you want to get pressure on him, you're probably going to have to sell out. But number two, you got to keep him in that pocket. Don't give him the lanes that you can't let him run free in the back end. It's just too dangerous.
You know, I don't care what anybody says, and I know how well this Vikings offense is playing right now. They can beat Seattle, and hopefully they pull the upset, win 2 in a row. For Ron Johnson and Pete Bercich, I'm Paul Allen. For all of us here with the Vikings Entertainment Network, that's Vikings Game Plan, and thanks for watching.